Now we're going to talk about one of the most important tools in your selling kit, which is you and how you show up for the call. And it's the new ABC of sales. And the old ABC of sales was always be closing, which is screened by Alec Baldwin in the film Glengarry Glen Ross, and a whole bunch of salespeople for a long period of time basically used it as their mantra to always be closing and pushing people quite aggressively into that. And for a lot of people, that approach to sales just doesn't work, both from a customer but also from the salesperson perspective, because it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't really allow you to get or build a relationship with the client. And then what happens is no one wins. Okay, so though it was a really good scene in the movie and it was really enjoyable and won the Academy Award, blah blah blah, it's had its day. There's a model of selling that's championed by author Dan Pink in probably the best sales book I've ever read, called The Seller's Human. And he basically rewrote it to be something a lot more useful, which is the characteristics and the behavior that you carry into the sales presentation. And A is now for attunement, B is for buoyancy, C is for clarity. Okay, so with attunement, this is about getting in the shoes of your client and taking their perspective. Be aware of what the person may want or need as part of the service you're providing. So imagine this. You're going to the gym for the first time. You haven't been for a long time. You don't feel comfortable ever. You don't feel comfortable in your body. You're not comfortable using the equipment. You've already probably got a negative impact or a negative image in your mind of personal trainers, and you've got to meet one at the front door for your first session. How do you think that client may feel? They're probably feeling a little bit overwhelmed. They're feeling a little anxious. They're feeling a little bit intimidated. All those things can come up. They could also feel really excited. Or if they've suddenly been training for a long time, they could be like, I already know this. Why am I here? This is a waste of time. So what you need to do is be able to put yourself into the shoes of your client when you see them, and using their intake form is a really good way to do it, because you can create a picture of what they are before they already get there. Now, if it's online, what you need to be able to do is put yourself into the shoes of your avatar and the same feelings, experiences, and pain points that they experience. So, for example, if there's someone who, let's say you're doing blood sugar and diabetes as your target audience, you should be familiar with the pain points they have. The fatigue between meals, the tiredness at the end of the day, the inability to do aerobic exercise at a high capacity, feeling sluggish, being frustrated at having to wear shoes all day. All those things indicate that you understand your audience, and you can basically attune into that, show empathy. And from there, when two people feel like they're in sync, it makes it a lot easier for a sale to go well. Now, buoyancy is how you deal with both rejection and the mindset you bring to the sales process. In the whole sales process, I generally recommend that you're 1 to 2 levels of energy above the person that you're talking to. Your goal is to bring that person up, not come down to a level or go even lower. You want to go up. Okay? And then also with rejection, you are going to get rejected when you do sales. People will say no. Otherwise, everyone will be fully booked out within the first 2 weeks of their career. You can just ask everyone and they'd be fine. It's never a no, it's a not yet, is kind of like one of the expressions I use until the client tells you to F off. That's my basic rule of thumb. So when you're talking to the client, always be upbeat. And even if you get the opinion or the impression that they're not interested, still be up there. It's going to bring the client up. This also applies for your sessions as well. You want to be 1 or 2 energy levels above the client to help bring them up when they're struggling. Now, that being said, if someone's a 3 and they're like really, really struggling and I really don't want to be there, being a 9 or a 10, really, crazy, is not going to help that person. They're going to think you're over the top and overbearing rather than actually want to work with you. So that 1 to 2 is that sweet spot. And then finally, clarity. Identifying the problem has not selling the service. So many trainers just want to sell the features of their product that they don't really worry about the benefits and how it actually addresses the client's pain point. So when you're selling, you always want to be bringing back what you do to how it fixes that client's pain point and be very, very clear about it. Because if you can demonstrate clarity when talking about it, the client is more than likely going to believe that you can solve their problem. And what I challenge you to do right now is to look back and think of any sales experience that you once had that was a really good experience, either as someone purchasing or as someone buying. I can guarantee that you and the salesperson had a good degree of attunement. You were in tune with each other. You were kind of like flow with your discussion. The salesperson was always upbeat, never really down on anything, but also not too far from you. And they had absolute clarity about what you needed or what they would recommend for you to achieve your goals and solve that particular problem. If we can do this for our clients, it is going to increase our sales rate exponentially, because you're going to be able to bring people into the psychology as well of wanting to purchase and trusting you, which makes the sale so much more effective in the end.